Maya Lin was balancing a tray of glasses when the applause thundered like a storm. The ballroom lights burned bright, and a billionaire stood on stage smiling, talking about innovation and clean futures. His voice rolled through the crowd, smooth and confident, as cameras flashed and guests leaned forward to listen. Maya moved between tables in a black apron, invisible, trained to be quiet and fast. Then she stopped. Her hands did not shake when she stepped closer to the stage. The billionaire was mid-sentence when Maya spoke his name. It was clear, calm, and loud enough to cut through the microphone. Conversations died instantly. Forks froze in midair. The applause vanished as if someone had pulled a plug from the room. Security turned, confused. The billionaire blinked once, then again. His smile slipped. He stared at the waitress as though she were a ghost from a locked room he never expected to open. Maya did not raise her voice. She simply asked him to explain one missing number from his report. Silence followed, thick and heavy. The billionaire opened his mouth, then closed it. His eyes searched the crowd, the ceiling, anywhere but her face. A nervous laugh escaped him, but it fell flat. The room waited. Cameras tilted toward Maya. No one breathed. She stood straight, tray resting against her hip, eyes steady. Years of being ignored had trained her well for this moment. She did not rush. She did not apologize. She waited. For the first time that night, the billionaire had nothing to say. People began to whisper. Some leaned closer. Others reached for their phones. The powerful man on stage looked small now, trapped by a simple question from a woman in uniform. Who was she, and why did she scare him? Years before the ballroom lights and the sudden silence, Maya Lin lived in libraries and labs. She earned her PhD in environmental data science after a decade of study, long nights, and careful hope. Her notebooks were filled with neat handwriting, complex models, and ideas that challenged powerful industries. Professors praised her work. Conferences invited her to speak. For a while, she believed the future would reward her effort. She was never careless or lazy. Maya worked harder than most people around her. She taught classes during the day, ran simulations at night, and graded papers until dawn. She believed knowledge mattered. She believed truth would protect itself. Then the funding stopped. Research grants disappeared without explanation. Her papers were rejected with polite but empty letters. Jobs she was promised went to others with stronger connections. Student loans grew heavier. Rent came due. Dreams slowly bent under pressure, not breaking at once but wearing down day by day. Maya did not complain. She adjusted. When the university contract ended, she searched for work. She applied everywhere, far beyond her field. Months passed. Bills did not wait. When a restaurant offered her a job, she accepted it without shame. Work was work. Survival came first. Waiting tables was exhausting in a different way. She learned to smile, to listen, to stay invisible. Customers rarely looked at her face. No one asked about her education. Her mind stayed sharp even as her world grew small. Maya carried her patience like armor. She kept reading, kept thinking, kept watching. The apron did not erase who she was. It only hid it. She believed timing mattered. And she knew how to wait. The billionaire on the stage was not a stranger to Maya Lin. Long before he became a famous voice on global stages, his company had been a silent presence in her research. His foundation funded the lab where Maya completed her final doctoral work. At the time, the support felt like a gift. She believed powerful people wanted solutions, not silence. Her research focused on environmental impact data. The numbers told an uncomfortable story. Certain industries were causing damage far beyond what public reports admitted. When Maya's models pointed directly at the billionaire's company, meetings became tense. Emails went unanswered. Friendly advisors grew distant. Then her data vanished. Files were locked. Access was removed. A revised version of her work appeared months later in a corporate report, simplified and softened. The conclusions were different. The danger was gone. Her name was missing. At first, Maya doubted herself. She thought she had made mistakes. She questioned her memory. But patterns do not lie forever. She compared versions. She traced funding shifts. Slowly, carefully, she understood what had happened. Her research had not failed. It had been buried. Without that work, her academic future collapsed. Recommendations faded. Positions vanished. Doors closed quietly but firmly. No explanation was ever offered. This moment mattered because it was not just about her career. The data she uncovered warned of real harm to real people. Silencing it protected profit, not truth. Maya carried that knowledge like a weight she could not set down. When she saw his name on the event schedule, her pulse stayed calm. Anger had cooled into clarity. She did not want revenge. She wanted the truth to stand where it belonged. And she was done waiting. Maya Lin stood beneath the bright lights, the present rushing back around her. The ballroom felt smaller now, as if the walls had moved in. Every eye was fixed on her. The billionaire still stood at the podium, one hand gripping its edge, the other frozen in midair. His speech lay forgotten on the screen behind him. Maya did not rush. She placed the tray gently on a nearby table. The soft clink of glass echoed louder than expected. Then she faced the stage. She spoke calmly, without anger or apology. Her voice was steady, shaped by years of teaching and defending ideas in quiet rooms. She said his name again, then introduced herself. Not as a waitress, but as a researcher. As the lead author of a study his company once funded and later erased. A murmur spread through the crowd. Maya explained the missing number she had mentioned earlier. It was not complicated. She used simple words. She told them how a single data point changed the outcome of an entire report. How removing it made harmful results disappear. How that number came from coastal measurements her team collected over 5 years. The billionaire smiled tightly and leaned toward the microphone. He laughed once, sharp and forced. He said there must be confusion. He praised transparency. He spoke of audits and compliance. Maya did not interrupt him. When he finished, she continued. She described how access to her files was revoked weeks before publication. How the final corporate report matched her work in structure and language but not in truth. She quoted sentences she had written, now stripped of warning and context. The crowd grew restless. Phones were raised. Someone in the back gasped when Maya mentioned internal emails. She did not show them, but she named dates, times, and departments. Her memory was precise. The billionaire tried again. His voice rose slightly. He spoke faster. He accused her of misunderstanding, of bitterness, of exaggeration. He reminded the room who he was. Maya waited until he stopped. Then she asked one question. Just one. She asked why the raw data files from her study were still classified, while the edited conclusions were public. She asked why independent scientists were denied access. The room went quiet again. The billionaire blinked. His mouth opened. No sound came out. He turned to the large screen behind him as if expecting help. The slide still showed polished graphs and hopeful headlines. Maya stepped closer. She explained how the hidden data predicted rising damage within 10 years. How communities would suffer first. How the cost of honesty was small compared to the cost of silence. She did not accuse. She stated facts. A man in the front row stood. He asked if this was true. Another voice followed. Then another. Questions stacked quickly, no longer waiting for the billionaire's permission. Security shifted nervously. The billionaire wiped his forehead. His confidence drained with every second. He attempted one final answer, but his words tangled. He contradicted himself. Someone laughed, not cruelly, but in disbelief. The truth no longer belonged to Maya alone. The crowd saw it now. They saw the careful avoidance, the practiced charm, the hollow responses. They saw a woman in an apron standing still while a powerful man struggled to defend a story that could not hold. Cameras flashed again, but this time they were aimed at her. Maya finished with a simple sentence. She said she only wanted the data released and reviewed. Nothing more. The billionaire said nothing. The silence that followed was not empty. It was full of understanding. The event ended early. People stood in clusters, speaking in low, urgent voices. Reporters rushed toward exits, already making calls. Security finally moved, but not toward Maya. They surrounded the billionaire instead, guiding him away from the stage he no longer controlled. His face was pale. He did not look back. The screens behind him went dark. By morning, the silence was gone. News headlines spread fast. Clips of the confrontation played again and again. Experts asked questions that had been avoided for years. Independent researchers demanded access to the hidden data. Regulators announced reviews. The billionaire's company released a short statement that said nothing and promised everything. It was not enough. Maya watched it all from her small apartment, still wearing yesterday's exhaustion. She did not celebrate. She made tea and sat by the window. For the first time in a long while, her chest felt light. The truth was moving on its own now. It no longer needed her voice to survive. Her life changed quietly, not all at once. Emails arrived from universities, from research groups, from people who had read her old work and wanted to read it again. A non-profit asked if she would help rebuild the original study. A journalist asked for an interview. Maya said yes to some things and no to others. She moved carefully. She had learned the cost of rushing. She kept her job at the restaurant for a while. It felt familiar. But now, when customers looked at her, they really looked. Some recognized her. Some thanked her. Others simply smiled with new respect. Maya did not become rich or famous overnight. That was never the point. What mattered was that her work returned to the world where it belonged. Data was released. Independent reviews confirmed her conclusions. The warnings she had once written in silence were finally spoken aloud. Power shifted, not because it was attacked, but because it was questioned. Maya understood something then. Power fears clarity. It survives on noise, confusion, and distance. Truth, when spoken simply and patiently, has a way of breaking through all of that. One evening, long after the headlines faded, Maya stood outside the same ballroom. The doors were closed. The lights were off. She paused, listening to the quiet. She was still herself. Still careful. Still strong. And no one could silence her again.